everybody, you're live. This is the pre-show for the Buyers and Sellers Show. I'm Jay Skinner, and today we're going to have Mr. John Mitchell on us. ThinkItBeIt.com. ThinkItBeIt.com. This is going to change your life in a positive way. Hang on, we'll all get together here and get started in a couple of minutes. And we're live. Good to see you, everybody here. And I'm Jay Skinner. You're on the Buyers and Sellers Show, and we're about to meet a new friend of mine who was introduced to me. And it turns out he is doing something very special in the world of understanding what it takes in order to be successful, and he's done it for himself, and he's helped many others do it as well, and you're going to be familiar with it. Let's welcome, and here we go, Mr. John Mitchell. I'm going to click on that, and there he is.
Hi, John Mitchell. Glad to be here. Thank you. Glad to be here.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Glad you're here. So, John Mitchell, we're excited about having you here on the Buyers and Sellers Show. And it's probably easier for you to explain your story and what gets you here than for me to try to say it. So Why don't you just tell everybody about yourself and what brings you here?
Okay. Well, I'll tell you my story. Basically, I wasn't as successful as I thought I should be when I turned 50. And, I started out as a CPA. By the time I got to be 30, it's pretty clear I didn't want to be a CPA. And so I really wanted to be an entrepreneur. So throughout my 30s and 40s, I was in like 7 different businesses. And so when I hit 50, like a lot of people, I just wasn't as successful as I thought I should be. And I had really 2 goals in my life: to make enough money so I didn't have to work, and to meet the woman of my dreams. And so falling short on both of them. And on the money, I always did pretty well. I made 200, 300,000 net a year, but never big money. And Jay, as materialistic as it sounds, I saw at 50, to have the exceptional life I wanted, I had to start netting over $1 million a year. And on the girl, never been married at 50. And although I must say I did a lot of interviewing, but never found the right one. And I saw how important that was to a great life. And so I'm puzzled. How do I change things? And so about 3 months after I turned 50, I decide I'm going to go find the top book in the world on success and apply that book literally word for word in my life. That sort of comes to me one night. And I'm like, that's a good idea. But I wasn't sure there was one book above all others. So I do a little research, and I discover there is one book that's been read by literally over 100 million people. And the next best-selling book on success has been read by less than 10 million people. And that book is Think and Grow Rich, which I know you've read.
There you go.
There you go. And so I'm like, here we go. Perfect. This is just what I'm looking for. So I buy the book, read the book. Then I discover the problem, Jay. It says there's a secret for success, but the author only gives you half of the secret. It's on the reader to figure out the other half. And
Yes.
so I'm bummed out. I mope around for probably 3 weeks, and one day just wake up and go, "Come on, John, just man up and figure out the damn secret." And so I immersed myself in the book. Probably read it 20 times over a couple of months, and the secret comes to me, and a 12-minute a day technique to apply it. And so I started applying it to a new business I started in the reverse mortgage field. And suddenly my income starts doubling and doubling and doubling to where I was blessed to be making 25 times the 200 to 300 grand a year I was making the prior 20 years. And Jay, what was so cool is I could see why it was all happening. I could feel it. I was just playing the game of life at a higher level. I could do things I could never do before, and I became fascinated that you could take two key scientific principles and apply them to your life and so materially impact your life. And so I'm like, finally, when I had enough money so I didn't have to work, I also found my wife through this.
Hmm.
Uh, I sold my company and I decided I'm going to share this with the world. This is like 10 years ago. I meet the former chancellor and president at the University of Texas, and I tell him my story, and he says, "Hey, you got to teach this at Texas, and let's teach it together." And so off we go, and he introduces me then to the athletic director, and he says, "Well, I want to learn this 12-minute a day technique." Teach it to him, and he says, "Well, this is great. Why don't you be the mental coach for our 18 head coaches?" And now that has evolved to, let's teach this to our 550 athletes as a requirement for athletes here at the University of Texas. So that's my story.
I mean, that is so fantastic because in college, people don't get taught real life things.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, that's one of the big issues these days in public education is kids are coming out without any practical know-how of what to do. And in your case, what you're talking about, this secret, well, you ready to come out with it?
I want to share one thought with you before I give you the secret.
Okay.
Um, so here's the most significant thing I ever learned in my life, that 95% of my daily actions are unconscious. Let me say that again. 95% of our daily actions are unconscious. And just think how that might impact your life. Um, and understanding that was critical because I saw that, and this is Napoleon Hill talks about this in Think and Grow Rich. Your success comes down to your daily actions, pure and simple. Your success in your marriage, in your health, in your career, it all comes down to those daily actions. And if 95% of them are unconscious and you're not taking control of them, you're playing the game of life at 10 to 20% of your potential. I mean, just do the math. I mean, it's really easy to understand that I think most people don't. Again, I want to make sure our audience connects the dots that your daily actions determine your success, and if 95% of them are unconscious, the only way to play the game of life at your full potential is to gain control of those unconscious daily actions by rewiring your autopilot. And
Good.
so, yeah, does that all make sense?
It makes tons of sense.
And so here's the problem. The secret is the solution, but here's the problem that everybody has to overcome in life. Every one of us. First of all, we're innately wired for survival, which causes us to be fear based and reactive, innately fear-based and reactive. And then the second key problem is just what I talked about. 95% of your daily actions are unconscious. So the effect of both those things is that when your little eyes open up each morning, you're on autopilot most of the day, innately wired to be fear-based and reactive, which is exactly the opposite of how you need to be productive, creative, and happy. And so that's the problem. And that's why everybody's running around being fear based. Yeah, most of their thoughts are fear based. They're reactive. Uh, they don't have control of their actions. They think they do, but they don't. And if someone doesn't believe that 95% of their daily actions are unconscious, just Google it. I could spend 10 minutes and explain it, but you just trust me.
Mhm.
This is scientifically proven. And so that's the problem. And let me give you the solution now. Here's the secret of Think and Grow Rich.
Hold on, stop.
Drum roll.
Time for the secret.
Okay. Here's the part of the secret Napoleon Hill gives you. Everything starts with a thought. Well, sure. When I read that, sure. Who'd argue with that? But where do you go with that? Well, here's what I discovered is a full secret.
Mhm.
What you envision in detail with emotion on a daily basis is what shows up in your life. And again, I'll repeat that. What you envision in detail with emotion on a daily basis is what shows up in your life. And what that means, Jay, is you take your life, you step back from your life, and you create immense intention and clarity. Exactly the person you want to be, exactly what you want to accomplish, and precisely how you're going to achieve your clearly defined goals. So once you create that clarity, I do it through a questionnaire. Then you take that clarity and put it on a template that I have created that's 20 years in development. And so you put that clarity on the template, and then you feed that to yourself every day. And after approximately 21 days, the magic happens, the science kicks in, and what you're feeding yourself starts showing up automatically without thinking. That's how you rewire your autopilot. And Jay, the effect of that is three things. The first thing you feel is immense control over your life to a level you've never experienced before. And of course you would. You're feeding the succinct articulation of your life to yourself each day. Of course you're going to feel control. And then the second thing you feel is confidence, which is a direct result of that control. And the third thing is, like I said, after 21 days, the right actions start happening automatically without thinking. And can I give you an example? Or
Yeah,
do you
but
have a
I
question?
just have a question.
Okay.
Did you lock the green room? Did you leave it unlocked?
I don't
Because
know.
I think someone's. Oh, hold on a second. Oh my gosh, somebody.
Oh my God. Man, I
In
tell you,
Cap Cart.
you'll let anybody into this thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in Oklahoma today.
Are you really?
I am. Yep.
Well, good to see
And
you.
thank you. Good to see you. I was just listening to your wisdom a minute ago. Pardon my voice. I got a little coffee voice this
You're
morning.
probably sick of my wisdom.
No, I get inspired every time I listen to you. I tell you
Yeah.
what I envision in detail with emotion every day shows up in my life.
There you go. You got it. You got it.
That is the truth. And you guys, Jim introduced me to John. And so I appreciate it, Jim. Thank you.
Hmm.
You bet. Well, I just wanted to come in and spread a little love because I admire Jay and really enjoyed my time with him on the show and in person at the speakers convention. And of course, John, you're a mentor, a friend, a brother, and a neighbor for that
Right.
matter. So good to see you, and I'm
Good
glad
seeing
you're on
you.
the show. And I encourage everybody follow John's advice. Honest to Pete, it works. Yep.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay.
You bet. Take care,
Thanks for
guys.
coming, Jim. Thanks for the surprise.
My pleasure. Bye bye.
Bye.
So
And
I'll give
everybody,
you
oh, Jim Cathcart. Oh my gosh.
the
Yeah.
legendary Jim
The
Cathcart.
legendary JimCathcart.com.
So I'll give you an example of how this works. Okay.
Yes.
So again, like I said, the right actions happen automatically, and I'll give you an example in my health. So this happened a couple of years ago. One of my clients, who was up in Portland, decided to come to San Antonio, bring his girlfriend, and San Antonio is about an hour from Austin. And so he says, "Well, come on up and hang out with us and have dinner with us." And so it's around Christmas, and so I'm out and about. Ginger, my wife, is out and about, and I said, "Well, let's just meet at Starbucks at like 2 o'clock." So I get there a little early, and it's Christmas, and I decide, Jay, to have a brownie. Well, I start eating that brownie, and it's not very good. And in my 12-minute a day morning routine, I affirm to myself that I'm aware of everything I put in my mouth. Well, I'm aware I'm eating that brownie, but it's not very good. But that doesn't stop me from finishing it. So
Mhm.
I finish it. The gin shows up, and we jump in my car and drive to San Antonio. And I tell her, babe, just don't feel very good. Lost my appetite. And so when I get back home that night, I go back in my template and I change one word in it from I'm aware of everything I put in my mouth to I evaluate everything I put in my mouth. Well, next night we go out and have Mexican food with her son, and I order tacos. Tacos come, they're not very good, except this time I'm evaluating everything I put in my mouth, and I
Mhm.
slide those tacos away, don't have another bite. And that night, laying in bed, I'm like, boy, if that's not a superpower where you can get yourself to do the right actions automatically without thinking, that is a superpower. And
Mhm.
and I think that, and I see it all the time in my marriage, in my health, in my career. That's what 25x my income. Um, I could go in a lot of detail about that, but that's how it works.
That is fantastic. And the there we got a comment. This is from Terrell. We have the best Mexican food here. That's right. He's a missionary in Mexico and a friend of mine that lives up in Westfield. And yeah, he spends a lot of time in Mexico. You bet. Okay, well, this is about business success and finding personal success. And what you described there, John, is something that you talked about 21 days. If you do this religiously, 21 days, this is how you create paths to good habits.
Hmm.
And so I get it. I used to say, what your mind can conceive and your heart can believe, you can achieve. But the the trick is doing it. And then when you talked about this, we are innately fear based and reactive. So in our own lives, depending upon our spiritual situation, sometimes there's this pull away from helping ourselves because we're taught to be altruistic and helpful in our faith and our religion and serving others, and somehow demean the idea of focusing on making money and doing stuff like that. Can you address some of these issues that people have and help us understand how you've reconciled it and rationalized that in your own life?
Sure, sure. I'd love to. You know, I know you believe this, Jay. Life is precious. Life is precious.
Hmm.
And one thing that hit me at 50 is I looked at my life and all I had was the average life. And I hated the average life. I really did because I knew I was capable of so much more. And when I developed this, like I said, it gives you a level of control over your life you've never had before. Because again, everybody is playing the game of life literally at at 10 to 20% of their potential, because very few people, like less than 2% of people, are proactively and with intention taking control of their daily actions. Again, 95% of which are unconscious. And so once that I was able to develop this and had this control, sure, I saw it show up in my income. Uh, but what was way better than that was just playing the game of life at my full potential, and being a great husband to my wife. You know, being totally in control of my health, and just taking this precious life that God gave me, and and playing it to my full potential. And I also see that part of part of being blessed requires giving back to others. That's how I honor the blessings I've had. And so, what sort of waking people up to the fact they're playing at a fifth of their potential is sort of my mission in life.
You got a mission in life.
I do have.
People say their why, and you've got one. Terrell says here, he says, awesome, John and Jay, excellent teaching. Thank you. You're welcome, Terrell. Thanks for coming by. I want to encourage anybody to have comments or questions. This is a good time to jump in and say hi. Sometimes folks that are watching, and to those of you that are watching the replays, thank you so much for coming back around. Some people are live, some people watch the replays, but this gets hundreds and hundreds of views over the next week. And people, here's where I want you to go to really understand this. And that would be John Mitchell at www. You can say thinkitbeeit.com. Think about that. Think it, be it. You think it, you be it.com. And then if you send John an email, he will send you a 9-minute video about his program. Is that a good way to say it?
That it fully explains the secret of Think and Grow Rich in 9 minutes, and explains it and gives the science behind it, and so a lot there in 9 minutes.
Now, there's more to your group, John, than just you. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Kelly Hatfield. I said she makes you look good out there on those podcasts and the work that you do there. Tell me about Kelly and what role does she play in this company?
I adore Kelly. She is the greatest. I appeared on her podcast about 4 or 5 years ago, and she was sort of captivated by this idea of leveraging herself through science, and she's up in Seattle in the she places engineers, basically a headhunter,
Mm-hmm.
and so she applied it to her life. It took her income for the first time to netting over 1 million, but it had so much more of an impact in the rest of her life. She was like me, just wanted to play the game of life at her full potential, and so she flew to Austin and says, "Hey, let's be partners." And so we became partners, and we have a weekly podcast today, and just she is a delight. She is just a wonderful person.
Yes. And then something else here, and this is a book that you've done called The Missing Secret. Tell me about that, and what do people do to get this?
Well, we are in the process of finishing it,
Okay,
so it's coming.
great. And I'm an audio book guy, and so do you think there's a chance it'll be an audio book too?
Absolutely,
All right.
I'm that way too.
Yep, I'm one of those too as well. Uh, so everybody says that they want to be successful and they want to make a lot of money, and but some just won't do it.
Right.
What's up with that? Well, what about me? There's like, did I make $1 million last year? Nope. Okay.
Well,
Talk to me a little bit about that
right.
struggle, how that's all works, or who can do it, who can't do it. How does that work?
The best way to explain that is, I met Darren Hardy about 4 years ago. I don't know. You know who Darren Hardy is?
He's one of the top guys, isn't he?
Right. Well, 4 years ago, I'm like, if I'm going to share this with the world, I want to go find the top expert in the world on success
Yeah.
and show it to him or her. And is there anything similar to it? Is there flaws in it? Well, just let me get an objective opinion from a real expert. So I write a big check. I go and visit with Darren for 3 days in California. He looks at it. I bring my template. I explain it to him. He looks at it. He goes, "Wow, this is really good." But he says, "John, people aren't going to spend 12 minutes a day on this." And I'm like, Darren, how the heck can that be? At 25x my income,
Mhm.
Time Magazine did a cover story on the science behind it. We're applying the top book of the world on success to people's lives. I mean, what do you mean they're not going to spend 12 minutes a day on it? He says, "Well, John, the dirty little secret in the success business is that more success is merely a preference for the vast majority of people, merely a preference." And he says, "You need to show this only to driven people where more success is a necessity." And of course, at the time, I'm like, boy, I find that's hard to believe because everybody wants to be more successful. But boy, he was so right that most people, 12 minutes a day is too much time for them to do this. And my challenge to people always is look at your morning routine. Is it serving you? Is it not serving you? And are you doing anything to impact your mindset? Because when you really think about it, your success in life as well as your enjoyment of life comes down to the thoughts that are going on in your head on an ongoing basis. Therefore, everybody should be doing something to influence those thoughts and override being wired for survival. But less than 2% of people are. That's the amazing thing to me. Life is determined by what goes on in your head, yet only 2% of us are have a morning routine that impacts our thoughts. There's a problem in our society.
Yes. So the level of discipline that you're talking about that we all need to have goes into so many aspects of our life. And so the road to the what do they say? The path to Hades is paved with good intentions.
Hmm.
But we've got to go from these good intentions through rewiring our autopilot, and that becomes tangibles. And the discipline to do that, everybody's just not going to do it.
Well, could I hit on that issue of intentions?
Yes,
Here's the
please.
here's the core science behind what I teach. Here's how the human mind works. The conscious mind sets your intentions and is influenced by logic. Subconscious mind controls your daily actions and is only influenced by repetition. It doesn't care about logic. Here's an
Mhm.
example. Let's say you want to lose weight. Well, the intention to lose weight was determined in the conscious mind based on the logic of the health benefits to lose weight.
Mhm.
That's intention. Well, the reason people are not losing weight is not from lack of intention, like you said. It's from lack of influencing their daily actions regarding eating and exercising. And you can
Right.
only influence those daily actions, the subconscious mind, which is controlling your daily actions, by repetition. That's why when you're feeding the succinct articulation of your life to yourself each day, that's the repetition the subconscious mind needs to rewire the autopilot. And Jay, this is so simple it hurts. And so, that's the beauty of it. It's totally simple.
It is. And doing it is the trick. And that's what we all learn and find out. And one of the things is if people become involved with you and your 12-step program, that's why it says 12-step program. There's more than one 12-step program out there, man.
Right, right.
That's good.
A
They're
minute per
both good for
step.
you. They're good for you. They're both good for you, I'm sure. I
Yeah.
know. But with your program, people have a chance of taking the idea, the intentions, the thoughts, and turning them into reality. And you're there to help make that happen. That's why they need to email you, john@thinkitbeit.com, and make friends, go to your website, and consider working together with you and Kelly to make it happen. Is that the idea?
Right. And maybe the final thing I'll share with you, one thing I learned in life
Mhm.
is that you need something that gives you an advantage, an edge. If you don't have something that gives you an advantage or an edge, you're going to get that average life. And the average life is not pretty if you really look at it close.
Okay.
And when I work with people, I'm so sure my stuff works that I give them a money back guarantee. If I can't double their income within a year, I give them their money back. And I've never had to give anybody their money back. I mean, and it's not because I'm so brilliant, it's because this is pure science. And so it works on everybody. But I'll tell you, I'm selective about who I work with. I'm oversubscribed with clients, but if someone comes to me and they're the right person, I'll make it work.
Awesome. Everybody, you just heard the word from John Mitchell. And John, I'm so thankful now. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you want to make sure everybody knows before we sign off? Have
I
we
think
missed something?
I think we've done a pretty good job. My only thing I would say is everybody tonight puts their head on the pillow. Just think about what you want to achieve in life, and is your morning routine serving you or not serving you? I dare say it's not serving you.
Yeah. Now you gave us all something really good to think about. John, thank you for coming. If you will, go back to the green room. If you got a minute to hang around, I'll come back there. Now, don't eat all the green melon in particular. I love that, but enjoy all this stuff. And it was all, I know it's like one of the largest contracts I ever got of stuff that needed to be back in the green room, but you enjoy it, and I'll see you in a minute.
Okay.
See you later. And everybody, you've been on the Buyers and Sellers Show again with the great John Mitchell of thinkitbeit.com. Go after it. You knew about Think and Grow Rich, and you probably read it once. And Napoleon Hill, and you hear all about this, but this guy actually made it happen for his life, and he created a program that you can do using the same principles. So I challenge you to get in touch with John. Everyone, see you next week. Same time, same channel. This has been great. Here we go. Autopilot. See you next week. Thank you.